and welcome to Center of Spookiness, the spooky podcast about very spooky stuff, but mostly it's about spooky TV episodes. I'm Josh, and with me, as always, is Spooky Skinner. Hey, Skinner.
Did I do that?
Yes, you did. We've got our box of crackers, our bucket of cheese, our bucket of brittle. We're all ready to go to talk about this exciting pair of episodes for you this time on the podcast. This is our first episode in the month of October. The spooky season is upon us. It's here. It's flourishing. You're getting ready to do all your fun Halloween things, and we thought for that first October episode we should do something special, and that's why we're covering 2 episodes of the classic 90s sitcom Family Matters. We are covering Stevil and Stevil Part 2.
For Urktober.
Urktober, that's right. It's Urktober.
Jesus Christ, what a trip back to, I don't know, 3 years past the prime of this.
Okay, so before we get into Stevil, what is your sort of relationship with Family Matters?
I was into the whole TGIF lineup.
Sure.
It was Friday night. The mood was right. We're going to have some fun. Show them how it's done on TGIF. That'll never not be in my head. So I like the Perfect Strangers. I like the Step by Steps. I liked the Family Matters. I liked them until the second or third season of any of them before they all got so fucking sweaty. All of them got so bad with it. But Urkel fever was hot, and the first few times I saw him, he was as much as anybody, it's oh, this is funny, this is the hot new character, I want to see more of him. Got my fill, and I absolutely remember thinking 2 seasons into it going Jesus Christ, they're really doubling down on Urkel, and I don't need this. But
yeah,
they doubled down for 8 fucking seasons. This is so much Urkel. This is season 7 and 8, and my God, if you are still going nuts over
8 and 9, actually,
8 and 9,
because Stevil episode season 8 episode 7, which aired the Friday before Halloween, and then Stevil Part 2, which was This Time He's Not Alone, aired. Episode 7 of season 9 aired on October 31st, 1997. Jesus. So you had 2 Halloween episodes back to back, which were apparently popular enough that it was necessary to do 2 of these.
Well, you can tell how much they had fallen between that last and second last season, because
they were already fallen by season 8, I think.
By 8, but I think I mentioned you that at the height of the show, which is season 3, when that's when I was got it, Urkelos, that was it. I saw the commercial for Urkelos cereal, and I'm done. But they were attracting 26+ million viewers average for the season.
Yeah.
Even by this point in season 8 in 1996, 15.2 million people for Stevil. By Stevil 2 the next year, then they, once again, they're on a different channel and everything at this point. It's down to 8-something million or so.
Yeah,
that's 9.15 million, which once again, by today's standard, the NFL would be happy to get 9 million. But Stevil 2, this time he's not alone, got it.
Yeah, it's wild to me that we've talked about this on previous episodes, that you could have a show that got so many viewers, that everybody was watching, and the TV landscape is so scattered right now, and it's crazy to think that there was a time when you could have this 22-minute, sitcom-y show, a kind of a format that doesn't really exist all that much anymore. There are a few shows here and there, but...
And this is the most shallow of shows.
Yeah.
It is a note. I'm not saying the performance, for what he's doing, especially at first, Jaleel White is famously the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog. Is I mean, like, it was a breakout character for a reason. He's doing a good job of it. It's not as funny when he's 20 years old, but that's not his fault. Reginald Bell Johnson, he's still great.
Yeah. No, he's great.
His timing, his expressions, everyone else in the show clearly doesn't give a shit. Like, holy shit does fucking the ones who are still on camera who haven't quit because they tried to choke Jaleel White on set are, you know, they're just there. Eddie's getting it, but like they have no energy. And why would they? But like,
yeah,
Reginald is like, what a fucking pro. What a
no,
like
dude's awesome.
Dude is great. Like what a magic, like who like no one does him better than him.
Yeah. I think that like I think for me this was definitely a show that I watched. I was watching definitely like you, was watching some of the TGIF stuff. I think I must have come to it a little later because I wasn't much in the Perfect Strangers realm. I was definitely Boy Meets World, which we've talked about previously. Last year we did the one of the Halloween, or I guess it was a Valentine's Day episode, even though it was based on a slasher movie. We covered it for Halloween last year of Boy Meets World. And that was kind of my era. So there was Boy Meets World, Full House, Family Matters, and then there was a couple other things that kind of were interchangeable. Step by Step was still there for a little bit. I think maybe Hanging with Mr. Cooper was there for a little while. Sabrina.
That first Hanging with Mr. Cooper, the Hanging with Mr. Cooper's theme song by En Vogue, fantastic.
Oh yeah, and then they had to switch it, right?
I'm sure it costs a lot more.
Yeah.
Like,
so
I was, TGI Friday, the restaurant, TGIF on ABC started in '89. Like, I'm 11 years old then. Like, that's
prime
solid
time.
time for watching TV when you can only afford one Nintendo game a year. Like,
yeah, I think just from a standpoint of like, in the 90s, you have a predominantly like black cast sitcom on a major network that is, that is streaming into, or streaming, that is being shown, on basic cable. 25 million people are watching this show. Like, that's crazy. That's great. Like,
that's fantastic. That and the two big ones on the networks were that one and Fresh Prince.
Yeah. But like,
full
you
of
have
tons of great professional, like, people who are fantastic at what they do.
Yeah. And you have these, these huge shows on these huge networks that have predominantly black casts, which is, pretty wild to think like that's a thing. And then it's weird that we're still at a point now where you still have issues with like black actors, writers, directors, performers not being, recognized by a lot of like awards institutions, not being able to like be shown in, like, people still getting up in arms when you change a fictional mermaid to look like a black girl.
It's
like
political casting if you make a character black.
Yeah, it is wild to me that we're still at a point in 2023 when people are mad because a character happens to be black and they're not supposed to be. And it's like, we had multiple shows on in the 90s with black casts and they were like all hits.
Cosby
so like,
Show,
what are we doing? Yeah,
which hard to talk about.
Sure,
man, but like culturally, that show was the biggest thing on fucking earth.
Yes, but like, you had like Fresh Prince, like you said. You had like Martin was a success. Living Single was a success. Different World was a success. Like, all of these shows were successes, and yet we still in 2023 have complaints about
the shows are out there. It's just hard to get like that slot, like the 5 slots on TV.
Mainstream attention now is harder to get because everything is so scattered.
I want to before we get into this, we're talking about TGIF, which is the ABC block on Friday night. I want to explain the lineup of shows in the fall. They vary throughout the season, the different seasons of the year, because I don't know. But what started for the fall for each of 96 and 97. So in 96, we start off, the block starts with Family Matters. Family Matters anchors both years regardless of when it is. It is the top show.
Sure.
Then we follow with Boy Meets World,
Okay.
Step by Step, then Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Okay.
There was, for a while, Muppets Tonight was put in there and immediately replaced back with Boy Meets World. And apparently a show called Aliens in the Family came in for a little bit and was replaced by Step, probably almost immediately because that doesn't exist.
We might have to find that show.
I'm gonna pull that up for later.
Yeah,
but
you'll see an Alien in the Family episode coming up pretty soon, I bet.
96, 97, once again, this is the final year of it being anchored by Family Matters, followed by Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah.
Clueless.
Oh yeah, I forgot that there was a show version of that.
And then Boy Meets World.
Yeah.
Aliens in the Family. The premise was a show about a single dad. Amazing.
Oh, I do remember.
Who was
this
adopted
show.
by a single alien mom. The two fall in love, get married, and try to live a normal life on Earth in a mixed family between human and alien. There's puppeteers for Snizzy and Bobit and Spit, Varch.
Yeah.
There's stars John Bedford Lloyd, who you may know as nobody.
I was about to say, I don't recognize anyone in this cast list.
He was in Chud.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. It looks like Hayden Panettiere was in one episode. So there you go.
We got to get someone from Heroes in every one of our episodes.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I do remember seeing pictures of the show, but I don't think I ever saw an episode because it probably wasn't on TV very long. 8
episodes, which is way more than I expected.
Yeah,
invents a alien holiday to get out of work. But when baby Bobit hears of it, he's hyped for a Tweeznacks celebration. Meanwhile, Sally tries in vain to get a passport photo of Bobit taken. So their kids are puppets?
Yes.
Fucking what?
This is probably like trying to ride off the success of maybe like dinosaurs or something.
I'm sure it is. Holy shit, those puppets.
Yeah.
Oh, the baby. Oh my god. And then they're very clearly supposed to be alien versions of the baby from dinosaurs.
So apparently the trivia for this show, we'll get to Stevil in a second, but really there's not much to say.
Not much to say. There's aliens in the family, my friends.
Yeah, it says, I guess, that Third Rock from the Sun was originally supposed to air on ABC, but then because the ABC had recently been bought by Disney, they didn't like the sort of gaudiness of Third Rock from the Sun. They thought it wasn't family friendly enough, so they decided to drop that and pick up all Alien in the Family from Jim Henson, which Disney also owned because I guess that was more affordable for them. Third Rock went to NBC and aired there for 6 seasons. Alien in the Family was canceled after only 2 episodes had aired.
It looks monstrous.
Yeah, if we can find that, we may have to watch this show. It's a pretty wild.
There's a picture of what looks like the alien son gazing longly into a human girl's face, and I'm going to put it.
Oh, I see it. Yes.
Yeah.
Christina Loken, who I think she was the Terminator in the. Oh yes, she was. She was the Terminator, the Lady Terminator in Terminator 3. So. You got some big talent in this show.
And what are the aliens end up doing? I was gonna say, I posted to our social media. Do we even have social media anymore?
We do, sort of. It's out there. I think we're on Threads now. You can follow us on there somewhere.
All the big brands and us are on Threads.
Yeah. I think social media it's just done for. I think.
I figure we could buy ads on X, the former Twitter, and
probably
show up next to that fucking podcast that's trying to rehabilitate Kevin Spacey.
Yeah. We'll get some ads on. We'll do what Elon wants, and we'll advertise on Twitter. Really get the people talking.
Everyone be talking about aliens in the family, which is not what we're talking about today.
No, we're not, unfortunately. Let's get to Stevil and Stevil 2. We can kind of jump around here and talk about these sort of together. We don't need to like go
Should we-
through them beat by beat.
Yeah, speaking of together and the two of them, explain the opening bumper that is in front of both of them.
Oh yeah. So there's it's weird because it's like it feels like it's are they? I don't know if they are really.
They're legitimately trying to say, "Hey,
This might be scary." Yes, I was gonna say that because I was thinking immediately when that started of those joke versions that they used to do on the Simpsons Halloween episodes, where Marge would come out and go, "This episode's very scary, and you shouldn't watch it like without your parents around or something like that." Like, and they were doing that for fun because they thought it was funny. And it's kind of a joke on some of the like older shows that would do those like warnings or whatever, but this feels like a genuine like thing. They're like, hey, this might be a little scarier than you're used to for Family Matters, which they're right, it is little scarier.
I think the first one in particular, because I think the first one where it's scored like a horror movie,
yes,
and that would do enough for a lot of, I assume like by this point the only people still watching are little kids.
Yeah, I think so, because we didn't really like touch on this initially, but like when Family Matters started, it was a spinoff of Perfect Strangers, which was also on TGIF, and because Harriet was the elevator operator in the building on Perfect Strangers, right?
Correct.
Okay, I don't know if it was played by the same actor or not.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
Oh, okay, it was. Okay, so she. Like we were seeing her home life with her husband Carl, who was the police officer in Chicago, and then their family, and then they had an annoying neighbor, Steve Urkel, and that was kind of how it was. And then Steve became so incredibly popular with his catchphrases and everything that he ostensibly became the main character of the show, which probably caused some conflict with a lot of the other actors, thinking that like, hey, this is supposed to be a family drama, it's an ensemble, and now it seems like it's the Steve Urkel show, and we don't really like. They took maybe the wrong lesson, which is that, oh, let's take this character that everybody likes and make him the central focus. And it's like, and it's funny because again, I go back to The Simpsons, where for a while, if you were watching that show, like, if you're only looking at the advertising and you were only looking at the merchandise, you would think that it was the Bart Simpson show. Because Bart was on everything.
And legitimately, season 1 and 2, Bartmania. Like,
it is, but even then, when you go back and rewatch some of those early episodes, they're still pretty spread out for the most part. There are a lot of episodes with the kids, but like they never let it get to the point where it was only Bart doing funny stuff.
They're clearly not interested in it. I mean, there's the one episode I could think of is when he organizes the kids against the school, and he throws like 1,000 catchphrases out that episode.
Yeah,
and that feels like them saying like, here's your fucking Bart against authority episode.
Yeah,
and like that's to me that's one of the worst episodes early on, and they clearly like, we're gonna do what they're gonna do. This one doubled down. Like, it's one thing when you think like, okay, they shoved out one of the kids in the cast out, which sucks. But like, also that apparently was a young actress who was very hurt by it. She like thought she had done something wrong. And
I forgot about that. Was there because there was their Aunt Rachel or whatever, right? And then she had a young daughter.
No, it was a second daughter of Harriet. Laura had a younger sister.
Oh, I don't remember that.
And they pushed her out. They reduced her time, and then they fired her.
Oh,
and like that started the anger from Jo Mary Payton, who plays Harriet, the mom. Because she's like, we had a real bond. She's the baby of the cast. I like this little girl. She now feels like she fucked up. And it's really, it always comes down to like, it's easy to fight it with your castmates, but it's executive decisions. If executive decisions didn't get made, it would be this. And I think she's even admitted like, hey, the show was on air forever because of Urkel. But like, Jaleel White was, fighting for, hey, more Urkel. Here's all my ideas. And she was like, you got this kid fired because you wouldn't shut up about it. And like, you know, I would guess in like it would have been better for Jaleel White if Urkel had been bits and pieces.
Probably. Yeah.
I'm sure wallet wise, maybe not, but like long
Yeah.
term. I mean, he's got the purple Urkel weed he's selling now with Snoop Dogg.
I mean, good for him, I guess.
I mean, God bless him. Jaleel White has tried fucking everything to reinvent himself and then not reinvent himself.
Not happening.
It's just not happening. But everyone knows who he is. He's the voice of Sonic the cartoon. He was voicing 2 Sonics on 2 cartoons simultaneously.
Why didn't they just put him in the movie?
Because voice actors can't be voice actors.
Because it's not like kids. I mean, no shade on Ben Schwartz or anything like that. He's totally fine in that first movie that the only one I saw. But like, no, not kids are not going to see that movie because Ben Schwartz is doing the voice. Like,
no, they're not. And like, it, I know my kid found the Sonic shows on this because they were all over the streamings years ago, and like, if they had put Jaleel White as Sonic in those, 99% of kids would be like, yeah, that's the Sonic from all the cartoons.
Yeah.
Like, that's what he sounded like in the cartoons I found on Netflix back when Netflix just had everything old and random. But this, to me, like, this episode, especially the first one, which has less Carl in it, even though it is a better Halloween episode because it's spookier, it has more kind of danger to it.
Sure.
Urkel is so fucking annoying, and Jaleel White's high-pitched voice is like, if it was just a character who came in, did 2 scenes, and walked out, but he's literally in 97% of the scenes doing his voice, it's baffling that anyone could find this entertaining. It is so fucking annoying. Like, it's too much. It can't work. You can't have Poochie on for 97% of the fucking episode.
Yeah, he is definitely Poochie. It's like if Poochie came in and took over the show and stayed there.
There are all
forever.
kinds of little problems with both episodes. With it just there's just the weirdness of the puppets being puppets, the puppets being little people wearing rubber masks. But the first one where it's just him talking and especially screaming so much, like, it's where's anyone at this point, and it's past his peak, where's anyone say no, this doesn't work this much? Just like, I wonder if you could have got more out of Urkel if you had timed it down earlier instead of going harder on it. Like, by season 5, go like, okay, we've had the Urkel robot, Urkel's cereal's come and gone. Let's just have Urkel's parents have moved to Russia, so he lives with us now. But we have someone who's a character who's a stalker of Urkel. Maybe we just need to have Urkel show up now and then. But I'm sure at that point they didn't even have an identity for the show anymore.
No, it was the Urkel show at that point, so they couldn't. I don't think they could change it. When you get 5 seasons in for a show and like you've pretty much set what you're going to be, there's no way to change it at that point. Like it'd be too dramatic for the viewers, and they probably wouldn't be able to handle it.
And they should have brought Tony Danza as character, probably playing Tony.
Our new neighbor. Urkel moved away. It's our new neighbor, Tony.
Tony Urkel.
It's his cousin.
Angela, where's the cheese?
Did I do that?
The Tony bot. Shouldn't it be Urkel bot? No, I couldn't remember the name otherwise.
Tony Evil. So to kind of briefly go through what Stevil is about.
It's about a dummy.
Yeah, it is about a dummy. He comes downstairs. Well, all the family is prepping for Halloween. They have a nice, fun little decorated home. They got little cobwebs everywhere.
Maybe
pumpkin decorations.
Maybe excited to decorate for Halloween.
Seriously, we've talked about this on the home improvement episodes that we did, but like, it's always I always loved sitcom episodes like this where they had the time to really like break down and do a specific episode for that season, for that holiday, and like and the skill and the craft that went into like decorating these people's homes for Halloween. But like this one doesn't go overboard, which I like it feels very simple and realistic. Like it feels like, oh, we put up some little pumpkin stickers on the wall, and we put up some cobwebs, and we put out a couple little decorations here and there, but it's not overdone, which I kind of like. But Steve comes down and he reveals that he has made, I guess, is he made this? That's what I think happened, is he's made a dummy that looks exactly like him.
Yes. This is the second time he's made a graven image of himself.
That's right. He has done Urkelbot. And was there anything else with him besides Urkelbot? Did he do any kind of other like weird Urkel dog or anything like that?
I don't know. Oh, fuck. Urkel dog would be scary. Like that. Take the dogs from Ghostbusters and kind of just Urkel them up a little bit.
Yeah, the Urkel dog only eats cheese.
Where's the cheese master?
I don't see anything. I searched for Urkel dog. Nothing really came up except for a couple dogs who happen to be named Urkel, which is funny. But there is a video apparently that about a dog who refuses to walk past a Steve Urkel doll, which is definitely connected to the episode that we are talking about. And I wonder if, now that I'm thinking about it, I wonder if they were trying to sell Urkel dolls with this episode.
Did they sell? I mean, they had to sell that merch, right? I don't remember.
They sold little bitty Urkel dolls. They were not like full on dummies, but they were like little tiny, like kind of like G.I. Joe style.
Who would
Urkel
want
dolls.
Everyone.
Yeah, this video of this dog, he's really having a hard time dealing with this Urkel doll. It's pretty good.
If you haven't seen it, I will bring it up 19 more times in the episode. If you have not seen the commercials for the Urkel O's, I really suggest you do it, because the first time I saw the commercial for it, and this is after I had kind of ditched on this show, I thought it was an in-show parody. Because they literally say you will be Urkelized by Urkelos. That doesn't mean anything.
No, that's nonsense.
It's absolute nonsense, and it's just him dancing, which to bring
that plays into this episode.
Apparently, people. I want to mention, as much as I didn't enjoy this episode, and that's the first part. Second part at least had more Carl in it. I am in the minority among the studio audience, because the studio audience, especially in the first episode, and maybe they did laugh track in the second episode for last season, but the studio audience fucking went nuts for everything.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming.
It's pretty funny because like when you go back to watch some of these kind of this era of television, and you really get like a good sense of what was like, when you get those like moments of people cheering in weird ways, like I've been rewatching a lot of like Seinfeld and stuff, and that's obviously a studio audience, and there's some laugh track stuff in there, possibly, but like they never totally overdo it. There's a couple moments when Kramer will come in and it'll be like a big it'll be a big thing where people will make a big loud cheer every now and then, but it doesn't happen all the time, which would get really annoying. And I feel like it happened all the time with Urkel coming into a place.
Like anything Urkel did just blew the speakers out.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So he shows this dummy off, and everybody kind of is not too impressed with his ventriloquism skills. He can't talk through the dummy without his lips moving. So
he's a snowflake and his feelings are hurt.
So he feels a little down about it, and he is upstairs
He goes upstairs. He goes up to his room in their house.
Yeah, so he's living with them, I think, at this point in the show because his family moved away to Russia, which that's an interesting that's an interesting wrinkle with the Urkel family. What are they doing? They're over there hanging out with
All I
Vladimir
read was
Putin and Steven Seagal. They
maybe a
trade
little
one
early
Steven
that.
for another.
Maybe he can say that he at least challenged Putin to a physical fight to say that he show that he's not supportive of him. But like all I could read about it was like they just kept hinting that his family was mean, and that's why he had to always be over there. And then they just moved to Russia, which is like, what a cruel thing to do. This main character.
Yeah, really. Like, that's their excuse. They're like, well, we never see his family. I can't recall ever seeing an episode with his family in it. Like maybe they
3J
do
is
show up.
Is his little brother, only in that he's his little brother from Big Brother's Little Brothers.
Oh yes, okay. But
Which
I
was
thought
really hot on TV at the time.
Did Urkel have a sister? Isn't there like Myrtle Urkel? It was like its cousin, maybe.
Did he play Myrtle Urkel?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. Let's see. Myrtle Urkel. Yes, he did.
That's the most obvious fucking joke I've ever heard in my life.
Her first appearance in the 8th episode of season 2. They were already going to the cousin Urkel well in season 2.
I like that they had a another cop who was a friend of Carl's for 18 episodes, and then like, nope, that has nothing to do with Urkel.
Oh boy, I misremembered all of this about Myrtle. She was a rich Southern belle from Biloxi, Mississippi, living in Urkel Oaks, a rich antebellum house.
What?
Who fell in love with Eddie?
Of course.
Yeah.
Eddie. I love the second episode when I guess in the end it's Carl's dream.
Yes.
Carl is dreaming that his son is getting it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That is true. We'll get to that in a second. I do have to say this quick thing about Myrtle though. Her father, played by Reginald VelJohnson, was named Big Daddy Urkel.
There's a character who was on 107 episodes who I do not remember, named Waldo Geraldo Faldo.
Oh yes, I remember Waldo for sure.
Is that Eddie's friend?
Yes. He was kind of dumb.
Better than Boner.
Yeah, he was kind of dumb. He was dumber than Eddie. But anyway, so Steve is bummed out because he can't figure out how to make the dummy talk. But it's like, well, just learn some skills. Like you should just practice.
He can't because there's no internet.
Yeah,
he can't go. He can't go to WikiHow.
Yeah,
or listen to the Super WikiHow brothers.
But Steve's wow, flashback. But Steve is a smart kid, so like he would know how to go to the library and look up books on ventriloquism, and like this just feels like a weird. It's like a weird forced thing to get him into. He's like, I just wish I could make this dummy talk. And he's bummed out and he goes to sleep. And the dummy is hit by lightning because there's a storm outside and the dummy comes to life.
That's how lightning works.
That's right. It worked for Jason Voorhees.
Worked for the Flash.
It will work for this dummy. So Steve wakes up from the storm, goes to shut the window, and he finds that the dummy is not in the chair where he left it, and it has moved over to Eddie's bed, and it can also now talk and laugh maniacally.
It's got a deep voice, like the voice is done by the director of the episode, but it is a Freddy alike.
It's very pitched down. He's like, hello, I'm Steve. I'm Stevil. Later on, he decides that that's his name. And Steve freaks out, of course, and tries to get everyone to see that, hey, this dummy's moving around and it's doing things. But the dummy doesn't do anything, of course, as we would expect from shows like this, where there is a thing that moves around that only you can see. And no one believes him, of course. And Steve thinks that he's kind of losing his mind a little bit. But it turns out the dummy can walk around, and it does try to scare him. and it also dances around a little bit. We get to we get to see it bust a move here. And he basically the dummy lays out his plan, which is that he doesn't like the Winslows. He thinks that they're too good of a family and they're just going to get in the way, and he's got to get rid of them all.
I like that
Um,
it sets up Urkel's mission statement of the Winslows are the finest family on the planet.
They are. And I mean, actually, Stevil, he didn't really need to do much. He just needed to wait around because Steve had already gotten rid of some of these Winslows.
It's real meta.
Yeah.
All we needed was Stevil to get into a fist fight with with the mom.
Yeah, with Harriet. Yeah. So Stevil, she's not really in this episode all that much.
I mean, she does,
or at the next one at all. She's not.
She's not in that season. I know she's recast in the next. She does one episode after fighting him, and then she's done.
Oh, that's at the end of the show.
She gets recast for this last season.
Oh, I didn't realize that. I thought I remembered her getting recast, but I couldn't remember. That's pretty crazy. So Steve tries to secure the dummy by locking him in a trunk, but of course the dummy escapes and proceeds to start picking off all the different Winslow family members. So he tricks Eddie into coming up the chimney because Eddie thinks that it's Santa Claus.
Eddie's an idiot.
He's an idiot. And he gets pulled up the chimney. Stevil has a little car somehow and chases down Richie and 3J on their bicycles, and puts them in the wall of Steve's Murphy bed where he has some decals of Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman.
They were dressed as Michael Jordan and Dennis Rodman for Halloween.
Yes. And he has wedged them into the walls so their faces are sticking out where the decals faces were.
Everyone who's been chopped to pieces all talk to him.
Yes.
And that's takes the edge off it. If their faces had been dead, it would have been a little bit better.
It would have been pretty crazy. Like you don't get to see Eddie, like what happens to him. So at first it's like, oh, he might be dead. Like we don't know. But the rest, it's like he finds Laura in pieces in the kitchen cabinets, and she can still talk and move her legs around and things like that.
Eddie doesn't really come back in the episode, does he?
No, Eddie doesn't.
Which is surprising because
not till the end.
Darius McCrary is a giant fan of this episode.
He isn't. We'll explain all of that in just a little bit. So he's trying to get rid of everybody. Basically, and when he finds Laura in the cabinets, Stevil says that she's suffering from low self-esteem, which is something. There's a lot of puns in this one.
It really pissed me off when Urkel's like tells Laura to get yourself together,
or pull yourself together,
and like, okay, bad joke, bad but punny joke, but like kind of lets it there, and then he stops, pauses, looks back at her, and explains the joke.
Yeah,
and I'm like fucking, you guys have nothing but contempt for your audience, nothing. Like, absolutely, that is the biggest bull. Like, how could you not trust them with that?
Yeah,
what is your problem?
And Stevil's also turned Harriet into a Jack-in-the-Box, which is a very weird, like, CG effect.
Well, they green screened her in an outfit because at the end credits we see how they did everything.
Yeah, they give us a little making of, brief little thing over the credits, and you see her dressed fully like a Jack-in-the-Box, like a clown, basically, and she's sitting on a chair against a blue screen background. And then in the episode, you don't see anything within the frame with the characters because they're doing a lot of like cutting back and forth, which I imagine watching this episode would have been really weird because they must have filmed the stuff with the actor wearing the Stevil suit in front of the audience and then probably showed them video footage of the other stuff that they had already filmed cut together so that they could like get the reaction for
It
the
must have had, like,
audio.
no flow whatsoever.
Yeah, it must have been so awkward to I've never been fortunate enough to see a sitcom taping, but I've heard it's very strange because there's constant stops and starts. There's, redoing lines, redoing like moments that they want to get like a better reaction to. And I can imagine that would be just the weirdest way to watch a show.
I have to say that I feel like, and this is not based on anything tangible, but just a gut feeling that in a season 1 episode, if Steve Urkel, even in his dream, came across a part and parceled Laura, that he would do something funny with her lower parts.
I would hope not, but you might
Just at
be
least
right.
just like touch her leg.
Oh yeah.
He was more.
Can
of
you
a
feel
creep.
this? And then he would put his hand on her leg or something.
And then go like, did I do that? He was more of a creep early on.
Yeah. So
also 12 years old.
But we see Harriet's head on like the end of this weird Jack in the Box thing that's bouncing around. And
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
Not the bouncing around head. What is with sitcoms and like under 13-year-old characters, especially boys, being horny? I did not know any kids that age who were like literally their entire personality was horn dog.
Yeah, I don't know, because I think this is a thing that's come up in other other places, obviously before us, but that was just a thing in the 80s and into the 90s a little bit, where we were just okay with like boys being kind of creeps. Like I just watched Elvira, Mistress of the Dark for the first time. Fun movie. It's very silly, and if you like Elvira, you'll enjoy the movie. But there is a moment where, and it's part of her character, obviously, that people are taken when they see her because of her very bountiful cleavage. And these young boys are she ends up in this small town, and these boys are very invested in trying to get a look at her without her clothes on. So they go to her house and climb up a ladder with a camera and try to take pictures of her naked. And it's just like, this is just a normal thing, I guess, that boys did when they were 13 years old or whatever. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
But sometimes like it's even like in these shows, and like I forget how old the big green kid was in Son-in-Law when we covered that, but like,
oh yeah.
It's just like their entire character in these comedies and sitcoms. Like, yeah, he's prepubescent and he's horny, and I'm like,
he's 13 years old and he's ready to get laid.
And like his entire life is, I want to see boobs, and like the internet kind of takes that away. But like, I was around other kids that age, and while there was some curiosity, there was nobody's home life was, I can't wait to see my sister's boobs. Or like, I'm going to constantly hit on the neighbor girl.
Yeah.
Like,
or my sister's having a sleepover.
It's always that, and it's always for those shows and those movies that younger brother is like 6. Like, I want to see the girl's panties. Like, they don't know what that means. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Why is that funny?
So then what you're saying is that the conservatives are right, and we are over sexualizing the children too much.
They want to over sexualize the children in a different way.
So Steve puts Stevil in the refrigerator, and Stevil breaks out through the back wall and goes into the.
I wish we had a little noise that went off every time you said Stevil.
He goes into the main room, and Steve runs in and finds Carl there on the couch. And Carl's acting pretty strange. And Carl's like, it's fine. Like, even if your dummy did come to life and it is trying to kill everybody, that's probably a good thing. We probably deserve to die. And then it becomes clear.
Boy, does he live in 2022, 2023? Because like, he's got it figured out. He can just go on social media, post that, and get 1 million likes.
It becomes clear that Stevil is actually controlling Carl. He is puppeting him, and it's pretty wild that occurs on this 1996 episode of a TV series, because that is a big twist. Spoiler alert if you've never seen it, but basically that's a big twist in the James Wan horror film Dead Silence. Good movie if you've never seen it. It's fun. It's very over the top and silly. So if you like that kind of horror, it's very in line with the sort of Malignant style of being a little over the top. But but he's just controlling Carl as a dummy, and
like not mind controlling him, kind of positioned like he's ripped out his innards.
Yeah, he's got his hand up Carl's shirt, and he's controlling him that way.
Up his butt.
Up his butt. That's right. And Stevil wants to kill everyone so they can go on the road together and have a ventriloquism show where he'll do all the talking and Steve will be the dummy. And I don't get that.
Yeah, I don't understand why they have to die. They're not even his family.
No, it's weird.
He can leave anytime.
Yeah, it's a strange like desire for this thing, and I guess
it also means it's Steve's desire.
I guess so. He wants to go on the road and be a ventriloquist.
He wants to wear Carl like a hat.
So they get into this big fight, and Steve eventually pulls the arms and head and legs off of Stevil.
He bravehearts this thing.
Yeah, he tears him to pieces, and he thinks that it's all done, and he sits down, and he's, exhausted from the effort. And then suddenly the demon
next to the corpse
puppet.
Carl.
Yes. Yeah. Carl is dead, laying there on the couch. Everyone is dead around him. He'll go to jail forever for these murders. He'll never be able to explain that it was a dummy that did it.
He'll never get cheese again.
And he sees that the dummy starts to pull itself back together and attacks Steve and starts strangling him. And this is when he wakes up and realizes, oh, it was just a nightmare. And Eddie comes in and is like, hey, wake up, Steve. You're having a nightmare. Chill out. Everything's fine. And then Eddie starts acting a little weird. And he grabs a hand.
By the way, if you're younger and haven't watched Family Guy, that's how he talks.
Family Guy
House. I'm gonna kill you, mother.
That would be, wow. Now you've done it. Family. Let's see. How can we do that? Full Guy matters, and it's Family Matters, Full House, and Family Guy.
And also the baby from Dinosaurs is there.
That's
we
right.
could have fit it in.
Did I do that? Not the mama.
And then Tony Danza walks in. Hey, baby Tony. Where's Angela? Saurus.
Eddie then proceeds to attack him with a hand mixer and says he needs to scramble his brain a little bit, and that'll make him feel better. And then he wakes up again, realizing that was also a dream. He's doing some Inception shit, dreams within dreams. And it turns out everything's okay. And we get a final lingering shot of Stevil on the chair, but no like glowing eyes, no nothing that would indicate that the dummy actually was alive. And it made Steve dream these things. Is
it just me, or in part two, do they act like he just dreamt Stevil and there was never a physical Stevil? Like
no. There was a physical Stevil, and there's like a throwaway line that he tells Lara at the beginning of the episode that he got rid of the dummy immediately after having the nightmare.
Oh, that's right. When the 5 seconds Lara was in the show looking fucking bored.
Yes, exactly. So we can jump right into Stevil 2.
The same cold open.
We get the same cold open of Steve saying that it's a spooky episode and that you want to probably watch it with someone brave. And for some reason, Steve is trying to stay awake. He's downstairs.
Nightmare of Elm Street.
Yes, he's downstairs. It's Halloween night, and he's trying to stay awake. And he proceeds to dribble a basketball and keep himself awake. But Lara comes down and says he needs to stop, and she asks him why, and he says basically that he's worried because it's Halloween and he had this horrible dream last year about Stevil, and he's very worried that Stevil will come back for some reason, which again doesn't really make any sense. And then we see another thing that this episode somehow like figured out years, decades before it became a thing, which is this bizarre thing that I don't totally understand, called Skibbity Toilet, which all the young people who listen to this show will immediately know what I'm talking about. But it's some video series meme thing. I don't understand. It's TikTok shit, and I'm too old for that. But Stevil comes out of the toilet just like Skibbity Toilet, and it's insane to me that that's a thing.
I would have had the entire episode of just Stevil coming out of toilets.
Yes, but he comes out of the toilet and he's like, "I'm back," and he proceeds to show up, scare Steve, and try to strangle him, and say that he wants his soul. So this is a new wrinkle in the Stevil mythos, that apparently he needs Steve's soul for some reason. And of course, we get the dream stuff out of the way early because Steve wakes up and realizes, oh, it was just a bad dream. So you're like, okay, fine. No, we're just like leaning into the fact that it's a dream now, and it's not even remotely a real thing that is happening.
And you could tell, and you knew that they were going to go a slightly different angle in this one, because you have to double the pleasure, double the fun for the second episode.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, the title called told you that he's come back with someone more.
Yeah.
So they're not going to make an Eddie Winslow doll. No. So you had to get to it being in the Carl doll.
Yeah, I mean it's a weird thing. So we have we see the other folks for a little bit. Eddie's dressed as Don King because that was a popular reference at this point in time, and
the little kids, little babies, including the extremely talented Orlando Brown, we'll get to this, are dressed as the Men in Black to pin it to a moment in time.
Yeah, absolutely. Because this was 97, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah. And so when did Men in Black came out?
1997.
Yeah, so that's like exactly at this time. There was some bit of trivia that said the Stevil episode aired only a few months after the Goosebumps Night of the Living Dummy episode. So like
what episode?
So
I keep hinting at this thing, but it's my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, the Night of the Living Dummy episode, and they clearly took some inspiration from that, apparently. So Carl shows up here, and he's tired from his office party. And he decides he's going to go take a nap, but Urkel is like a little upset. He's like, "Oh, don't fall asleep because you might have a bad nightmare like I did." And he's like, "It's fine. You're being paranoid, and you don't need to have anything to be scared of. Stevil's not real."
He's right.
He's right. So Carl goes upstairs. He's eaten too much candy, which I think maybe is what they're attributing to his nightmares. He takes a swig off some Pepto and has a funny comment about the taste of Pepto, that it tastes like chalk. And I'm sure that was the height of comedy at this point in time.
God, if you could say salads and rice cakes taste like nothing, diet food tastes like nothing, especially salads, and medicine tastes bad, you were hitting out of the ballpark in the 90s.
Yeah. It's a very low hanging fruit for some jokes there, but like he falls asleep and he has a dream, so immediately we know like, okay, we're in a dream sequence. It's not like they don't even try to hide it. Like it could be that he falls asleep and then is woken up by something downstairs and goes down and finds the box. Like They could have hidden it a little bit, but they don't even try.
I wonder if they have any feedback at this point that the first one was too scary.
Yeah, they're like, we have to know that it's a dream because our audience will be too terrified.
Terrified.
So
it's the second one.
Yeah, he goes downstairs. He finds a big box label addressed to him, and inside is a dummy that looks remarkably like him, even wearing his police captain uniform. And so
He's a bastard.
ACAD, all cops are dummies. He's playing with this doll. He's trying to do some funny little gags and things. And Urkel comes down and is like, "Oh no, what are you doing with that dummy? It's I'm worried about it." But Carl's like, "It's not alive. It's fine." And
It's just this perfect dummy of myself that I found.
Yes,
With no explanation.
Yeah, it came in a box. I have no idea where it came from.
It came from Temu.
But Stevil shows up, kicks the door down, and says, the doll isn't alive yet. And then he shoots some lightning into the dummy.
I guess he has the matrix of leadership in him or something.
I guess
make new Transformers.
And he comes to life, and
the Allspark.
And just like Stevil named himself, he decides to not let this dummy name himself, but he gives it the name Carlsbad, which is
it's real sweaty to get to that. Like
yeah, but Stevil sort of works.
Stevil still sounds a little bit too much like a weevil.
Yes,
but Carlsbad, it's just so like not that I have any better ones. But it's still and to have to hear it so often is unpleasant.
And then they kind of lay out that they want to go to Vegas after they steal their souls and become human, which is weird. And they decide to have a dance off for some reason. I wasn't totally clear about why they immediately launched into dancing.
They say something, and then unrelated, they're like, "Yeah, well," and then one of them Carlsbad grabs a beatbox, and and Stevil starts breakdancing, and then he's like, "You watch this," and then he starts dancing, and the crowd goes crazy. But like, they're only dancing because they danced the first time. Like, it's literally a non sequitur. It's just like it happens.
Yeah, and they changed the voice of Stevil in this second episode a little bit. It's not as deep, but then Carlsbad has the deeper Freddy Krueger sounding voice now.
Carlsbad sounds like Stevil in the first episode.
Yeah, it's weird.
And when Urkel is evil at the end, he has the original
Stevil voice. Yeah.
I think it's still the same guy doing both voices. It's
Probably.
He's just doing it to differentiate, but it's a really odd choice to give the voice of the first one to the second one.
But I like that voice because it does sound so much like Robert Englund doing Freddy Krueger that it's just very funny to me.
He should have done Robert Englund's regular voice from Nightmare Cafe, which is kind of high pitched and not scary.
I'm Carlsbad. See,
I'm Carlsbad. I'm not really that scary when I'm talking normally. I'm just doing a voice when I'm trying to sound scary. You're on a show called Nightmare Cafe. Try to sound more scary. You're not paying me enough. I'm Robert Englund, the frog. Maybe you should pay for Tony Danza for Tony's Cafe.
We're gonna have to do a fucking Who's the Boss now. You brought up Tony Danza so much recently.
I had about 15 different Tony Danza jokes that I wish I hadn't put at the 3-hour mark of the episode.
But so they run away from these little dummies, and they hide in the bedroom, and of course, they put an axe through the door at some point, and Carlsbad shoves his head through and goes, "Here's Carlsbad," and you're just like, "Come on."
It's not funny when it's saying Carlsbad.
It's not. Like, it doesn't really work because Carlsbad's a place. It's not a person's name, I don't think.
Here's Indianapolis. Evil Indianapolis.
Evil.
it's so stupid. It makes I just don't know. It's when he does the hero's Carlsbad, I'm like, are you fucking the GPS? You trying to like I've arrived at
Oh my
Carlsbad?
god! You remember when GPS units used to have those downloadable voices packs that you could get for like different characters?
Why has that gone away? I mean, with AI, it's gonna come back. But
Yeah,
still.
I wish there had been. I bet there was a Freddy Krueger one.
That'd be so.
Turn
amazing.
left, bitch.
I'm sure my family would turn on me so quickly. Like for a while now, I've had the Australian male voice for the map, and I call him Mazza. And finally, in Chicago, we were driving around. There was a come to Jesus with like, you have to get rid of Mazza. He's saying everything wrong. He could not say Epcot Center when we were in Florida. Yeah, going by it. Get. I'm like, you're saying Epcot wrong. Like, if Mazza says it's Epcot, my friend.
Turn left on.
You've arrived at Carlsbad, bitch. I think you Tony Bananas and like, you've arrived at Tonyapolis.
So
where's the boss? That's what you would call it.
They push a dresser in front of the drawer or front of the door, and the drawers start popping out. The dummies can control it, and they're inside, and lights flicker on and off, and suddenly Steve is gone. So Carl goes downstairs. There's a funny gag where he looks through the crotch bones of a paper skeleton that's hanging in their stairwell, like
that's
glasses.
The best. Over 44 minutes, the best moment.
Yeah,
because he sells it perfectly.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. And he goes into the kitchen and finds Steve sitting there, and something's wrong with him. He's not really responding. He's not moving. And the lights are flickering on and off again, and then the dummies are suddenly there. And we hear Steve's voice come out of Stevil the puppet. And he says that the only real difference is that he is still evil, but he feels guilty about it.
Because he has a soul now.
Yes.
I thought that meant he would take over the body.
Yeah, it seems weird that he does. Well, he does, sort of, but it's weird that they just exchanged souls. So Stevil the dummy has Steve's soul inside it.
And he's evil.
And he's evil still. So
and Stevil, original classic formula is now in Steve's body.
Yes.
But also is also evil.
Yes. There is a great little bit here where the dummies attack Carl, and he throws them so aggressively through the window of the kitchen. It's pretty intense.
I mean, I was terrified the entire time of them doing violence to the actors playing the puppets.
Yeah.
But anytime especially if they had never done any scenes with the actors playing the dummies, like as with rubber masks on,
yeah,
which is terrible. But like if they had just kept it always dummies, you could have really done a scene where Carl just fucking fucks up these dummies, and it would have been Reginald is such a great physical actor. I bet you it would have been fucking hilarious.
There's a little bit of that in the first one too, where Steve is fighting Stevil, and it's clearly a dummy that he wallops onto the ground and then body slams, and the dummy's little flayed legs are all over the place, like he's got little Kermit legs, and
you could have a full Family Guy beat down.
Yeah, it's funny, but it's dumb. So anyway,
I was grasping at straws at this point for anything.
So
I mean, like you said, the plot is no longer making any sense. But hey, at the end of the dream, sometimes you walk in a room and the whole floor is made of clams that sing at you, and it doesn't make any sense anymore. So like that's kind of maybe what's happening here.
So he tries to rescue Steve and tries to leave the house, but it turns out that as we already mentioned, Steve's body is possessed by Stevil. And he shoots some lightning out of his eyes into Carl's eyes. And
I think this would have been the thing that would have scared kids.
Oh yeah, maybe so. It's like this sort of father figure on television is getting electrocuted. That would be pretty traumatic.
A dead-faced, scary voiced Steve Urkel.
And Carl wakes up, runs downstairs, and then we get this kind of like it's kind of the thing that you make fun of these shows about, like these family dramas where they have the moment at the end where they're like, let's talk about something serious here, and you get a little bit of that here where Carl comes to Steve and he's like, I shouldn't have made fun of you about your nightmare. I had a really bad nightmare and I should have let you kind of talk it through and explore that and not have kind of doubted you or dismissed you so quickly. And then Steve proceeds to sort of nightmare dump all this weird shit, all about like how he went to a cheese factory and he didn't have a nose, and he was walking down the street but he didn't have feet, and he wanted to kiss his girlfriend but he didn't have lips or something like that. And
The only reference to Myra in the 2 episodes, rest in peace, Michelle Thomas, who I believe was going to pass away at any moment at this point.
oh Jesus,
Yeah.
wow, yeah. um it's a whole thing. And apparently the summary of this episode on IMDb says that she put the dummy back together.
When?
I don't know. It's never mentioned. It says, unfortunately, Stevil, his evil ventriloquist dummy, is back with a vengeance with Steve's ex-girlfriend Myra's help in putting him back together.
I mean, you could have done a really great something with her, like taking the dummy because she's obsessed with him.
Yeah. Maybe that's what they said. But
maybe that was in the original script, but maybe this is the special cut we got from where the
source we got it from. We'll talk about that in just a second because I'm basically wrapping this up. So so Steve nightmare dumps all this stuff on Carl. The episode ends and we get a final little bit of funniness over the credits with the 2 dummies doing a show in Vegas.
Because Carlsbad kept saying like, I want to become a human so I can go to Vegas.
Yeah.
And we're like, what is this about? And apparently it's just to set up this scene that's not funny.
Yeah, they do a stand-up show and they bomb and the crowd hates them and then they get into a fight and that's it. And it's just such a weird, like, wet fart of an ending.
It's terrible. It's just not funny. Like, I'm sure it was there to like, see, they're harmless kids, but also it's not fun. It's terrible. It's just a terrible way to end this.
Yeah, it's not great. So I kind of they do have like 2 little people actors playing these characters, Stevil and Carlsbad, and the same actor played Stevil in both episodes, Josh Ryan Evans, who unfortunately passed away when he was only 20 years old, which is awful. He was probably best known as the 8-year-old Grinch from the Jim Carrey Grinch movie. He was also in 314 episodes of Passions as Timmy, the very sort of popular soap opera. And then in a bunch of other shows throughout, did some voices and some animated stuff. And and then the actor who's playing Carlsbad has a much more robust filmography. He played Howard the Duck. He played Station in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
That is, of course, the source material for my world's greatest meme of a picture of Station with the top text being Station and the bottom text also being Station.
He was in Oh Brother Where Art Thou? He was in the TV series Weird Science. He had a couple of roles there. He was in an episode of Baywatch.
Station.
He was in 26 episodes of the 90s Land of the Lost series. He was in an episode of the Friday the 13th series, which we still are planning to talk about. He played, I guess, Chucky for part of Child's Play. So dude's got a pretty robust filmography for all of that, and perhaps his greatest role is in the film Tiptoes, which is one of the strangest movies to ever exist. And
considering that you've mentioned a movie where a duck tries to have sex with Leah Thompson,
I agree, but Tiptoes is maybe weirder than Howard the Duck. Just from what what it is and who is in it. The acting caliber is so staggering that they would be in this movie. You've got Matthew McConaughey, Kate Beckinsale, Patricia Arquette, David Allen Greer, Peter Dinklage, and Gary Oldman playing a little person walking around on his fucking knees.
You've been
And
trying to get me to watch this movie for years and years.
it's an insane film. You need to watch it because it's crazy. And it will baffle you to no end. Insane film, but totally worth watching. Anyway, we've been kind of beating around the bush. The episodes are fine. They're late series Family Matters. The first one is kind of fun because it's kind of scary a little bit. Like there's some weird, scary moments in it. The second one is very much dependent on comedy more than the scares. And it is what it is, not great. But I was just looking around for like fun TV Halloween episodes for us to cover. And I saw a little article that was talking about this one, and I vaguely remembered seeing the first one. And I was like, okay, that could be fun to watch. So let me see if those are available anywhere. So I just did a quick search online of, hey, Stevil, Family Matters, trying to find the episode to watch. And I did find it. I found both of them, in fact. Very lucky to do this. Apparently they're available on Hulu and whatnot. I didn't notice that. I noticed this thing first, which was a Facebook post from actor Darius McCrary, who plays Eddie on Family Matters, and he uploaded both episodes to his Facebook page back in the summer of 2021.
Right in the middle of the pandemic. Bringing you the heat. Eddie Winslow. So proud of these episodes. Beautiful quality compared to what we usually get for non-streaming site quality.
He must have had these on off the DVDs and he uploaded them because the quality is actually pretty great.
He had to have ripped it himself. Like, where else would he get them?
I guess that maybe he had them on DVD. Maybe he pulled the digital files or something.
You think maybe he called up Michael Eisner and it's like, hey man, get me that Stevil?
Maybe. But yeah, so I found these on his page, still up, by the way. No one has taken them down, no
one will ever take them down,
which is pretty wild. And yeah, it was pretty great. And what's even greater is the the Facebook comments on this video. So I'm going to just go through a couple of these. One of which, Skinner, you already saw, which says, "That's a scary dream nightmare for Steve, even on Halloween night."
That's almost a sentence.
This person said the Stevil dance is the best part.
You could say that. I mean, it's a part.
This person commented, "That was a Halloween one."
It sure was. Accurate.
The Stevil episodes gave me nightmares, but seeing the behind the scenes stuff sure did help me a lot.
Which is why we think they did that. And apparently this person is brave enough to admit that it actually worked. That their assumption that you were dumb enough to be scared by this and the making of would calm you down.
There's a joke in the episode where Eddie says that the only doll that he wants sitting on his lap is one that he can talk to. And commenting on like, I don't want to do ventriloquism because I would much rather have a woman sitting in my lap, which it's like, great, Eddie, we get it. This person said, "I feel Eddie totally. The only doll I want sitting on my lap is the ones that can talk on their own. You feel me?"
I mean, who took that line and like, that's what I need to comment on?
I love the horror Halloween episodes. Someone should make a movie of Stevil and Carlsbad. It'd be better than Annabelle and Child's Play.
It wouldn't, but I appreciate your time and effort. Please continue to watch our new streaming channel, which is this Facebook page by an actor. So basically to support it, and hopefully products will come up that you are interested in.
Yes, I do remember this Halloween episode. Heart, thumbs up.
I like that as my baseline internet reaction to something of, yep, I remember that. And that's all anyone kind of wants. It's like, do you remember this? Yes, I do. And that's the full interaction and exchange that you need with the internet is, do you remember this? Yep. Cool.
I love this episode and the sequel. I think that they were scarier than the vampire episode. I didn't know that there was a full Family Matters vampire episode.
Well, there's always 2024 Halloween.
That's right.
Which was going to start in May.
I mean, I love that one too, but just saying that Stevil beat that one.
Well, we know it's going to be good, but not as good.
Someone commented, I guess this is the person that made it happen, because he didn't upload these at the same time. He uploaded this one, the first one, in May of 2021, and then he uploaded the second one in July of 2021. And it must have been because this comment that was, man, you got to put up the sequel episode. I forgot how much I love this special. So he saw that one. He was like, I got you, man. I'm going to do it.
I am still a working actor. I am this actor, I am incredibly handsome. But this guy says I have to put up it's the second Stevil episode with Carlsbad. So that's my evening.
I remember watching that episode on WTVD 11, ABC Durham Raleigh area that Friday night.
Who fucking cares about what their local affiliate's name is that much? Like, I can't imagine having a conversation with someone online going, like, I remember watching this on KARE 11, NBC Channel 11 in Minneapolis. Just say, I watched it on TV.
Absolutely love this episode. I would have loved if Stevil had said Happy Halloween at the end, but overall, a very, very good episode.
Not gonna lie, that actually would have actually helped.
Yeah, that would have added to it. So, you know,
and then he should have winked.
Pretty good positive comments here. There was one specific comment. I can't remember if it was on this one. I think it must have been on the second one. So I'm gonna go to that one and read you this very very sad, tragic comment that we have kind of alluded to already. I'll read that one first, and then I'll read one that makes me laugh quite a bit. This person wrote that it's really sad to see a very young, talented Orlando Brown in this episode compared to the dope fiend that he currently is.
I want you to explain. I want to explain that Orlando Brown at this point is a baby. Like, yeah. He doesn't even know he's acting. He's just being told to sit around set and wear a Bulls jersey. Like, no one's looking at this and like, oh, incredible talent at this point. He wasted it all. It's like, nope. That's okay. And also, dope fiend isn't a word, isn't a thing.
Yeah, I mean, the dude's still acting, so, like, I think he's probably fine, right? Like, he might have had some hard times, but it seems like he's
also still young. Like, he could figure it all out. He's not ruined.
Yeah, I think he was a musician for a little while, and maybe he had some hard times. I don't know. Who knows? But, like,
who knows? Maybe he had nightmares of Stevil.
But it's also the craziest comment to put on an actor's Facebook page who posted this video and talk about, like, how this guy's a dope fiend.
Remember that guy you personally knew when he was like 4 years old? Shame he's become a dope fiend.
Yeah.
Love ya. Thanks for the video.
This comment is very funny, and I'm gonna try to read it as best I can based on the weird grammar and misspellings. This reminds me Gaussbaum's Night of the Living Domi.
How is Babby formed? Anyways.
So I'll spell that for you. Goosebumps is spelled GHOSBOUMBS.
I don't know how you would get there.
And
Even
and
ESL, I don't know how you would get there.
and dummy is Domi, Domey.
That's fine. I got that.
This
But
guy's from Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and looks like a good, proud American.
because here's the thing: your phone's never going to autocorrect a single word on the planet in any language that has ever existed in human history to Gams Bond. So this was an intentional act.
Another great comment here. I do not like that. Who wrote these scripts? Set those puppets on fire.
That I like because it almost makes it sound like they think the puppets wrote the script.
How the heck did they actually shoot this episode? I'm guessing clever puppetry and little people were involved.
What a fucking genius. That is a brain genius. How would they ever figure that one out? Because it's very clearly puppets and little people.
Oh, this guy must be this guy. Okay, so you remember when I commented or I mentioned the comment on the first video that said, I remember this episode?
Yes.
This guy commented again on this one. I remember this part 2 Halloween episode.
He's getting everything he wants out of the internet.
He's doing a bit, I think.
I hope so. I mean, if that was your bit, and Josh, have I ever done a bit on the internet on Facebook comments?
Yes, you have.
That doesn't sound like me. But if you were going to do a bit, like, I don't know, some of us may do a thing where you respond to your friends in every vacation photo they take for 2 years, like you're an aunt who doesn't know what's going on. But others could respond to everything that someone posts with of something that has happened or has been shown with, I remember that. That's a pretty good bit. Because it sums up the internet perfectly.
If Family Matters had a 10th season, there should have been a third Stevil episode where Stevil and Carlsbad made their return and either Laura or Eddie had their own evil puppets as well.
What if they just kept going for 17 seasons and eventually the whole family was just played by puppets and we didn't have to pay anybody?
Wow. I mean, that's a really novel concept. I'm sure the studios would get real on board with that one.
We're getting too close to aliens in the family at that point.
Let's see. I've never seen this episode. Well, now you have.
If they don't hit play, that can continue to be true.
My Halloween video, and I don't even like Halloween, LOL.
That's a really interesting thing to like blanket say I don't like. I don't know why that strikes me. I'm sure there are people who don't like Halloween, but it's just to me, like, there's such a broad range of what Halloween is that, like, say, like, I don't like it. And it's like, at the very least, do you like candy?
All right.
Like,
I'm gonna finish it with this comment because this is a good one. For the past 3 weeks, just been giving myself a marathon of Family Matters. My daughter said, "Mom, can you watch something else?" She was tired of me watching it every day. I told her, "Girl, get out of my face. I love Family Matters and all the actors in it."
I love that she not only told her to get out of my face, which is a fantastic thing to say to your child. I say it all the time. But then told her how very specifically the parts of Family Matter that she loves so much. Not only the show, but all the actors involved and their performances as the characters in the show. Because the characters she also loves and the actors who portray them.
Yeah, it's great. So we should rate these 2 episodes on our scale of spookiness. Again, it means nothing. It's just our ratings for the show, and we're gonna wedge these 2 together because it's a double parter, so they get to share a vote. We can wait. Maybe one is better than the other, so that might help bring up the vote a little bit. That might help bring up the score. So I'll let you go first, Skinner. How do you feel about Stevil and Stevil 2?
It's a number 2 toilet flush sound.
Wow, number 2.
I love Halloween episodes of sitcoms. I fucking hate the Steve Urkel voice. Like, fair. Especially as he's older and he's up pitching his own voice because he's no longer he's gone through puberty.
Sure.
I can't get past it. I can't get past every time he does the scream at screams for the because the puppets are coming to get him.
Yeah. Well,
You know
this
what?
might be our lowest rated show. I think this might be the lowest rated show you've ever rated.
Maybe I would like it more if I had actually seen this the first time it ran or in reruns, because then I could respond with, I remember this show.
Fair. That's a good. I mean, I get that. I totally I respect that.
That is the strongest reaction you can have to anything.
I respect that that idea though. So I guess I will be a little kinder because I liked the first episode a little bit more. It was a little more fun. There's some funny little bits in it, and
I think the dance break was set up better.
The dance break is set up a little bit better because he says you can talk and you can walk, and he's like, and I can also do this, and then he dances, and it's like, okay, that's fine because you set it up well enough. That's also the joke
from fucking the Planet of the Apes musical.
Oh yeah, that's right. You can talk. I could sing. It's not good, and it's a show that's showing its age at this point, and it's clear that it's on the way out, like doing this. I mean, like I was mentioning to you while we were watching these,
15 million people.
Well, it's crazy that is the case.
That's probably bad.
Yeah, that was negative ratings. They were like, "Oh, this show's done for."
It was number 50 in the ratings with 15 million people.
That's crazy.
I fucking hate how things work.
It's crazy. So like, I feel like at this point, they were really piling on kind of the gimmicky things. I think there was an episode where like Steve and Carl turn into Bruce Lee or something and fight some stupid street gangs.
Hate it.
There's an episode earlier in like season 8 where they turn into Karate Kids and fight a street gang who's selling drugs and playing rap music. Like they did weird, dumb shit on this show towards the end, and
still to me better than my referred to worst thing that a sitcom did, which is also TGIF, which is when Step by Step had the live action Beavis and Butthead knockoffs.
Oh yeah, and I mean, let's not forget that Family Matters ended by Steve going to space. So.
I believe Night Court had a character go to space, and also Balky was an alien at the end of Perfect Strangers. So that's not untold.
Yeah, they were into it. But yeah, I think I will give it. I guess I'm gonna say a 4. Only because I think the first episode is a little fun, even though it does fall into the dream trope and feels a little silly. But there is some scarier moments, and the fact that he is murdering all of these people is kind of interesting and funny and weird for a sitcom show that is watched by 20 million people. But yeah, I can't necessarily, like, Family Matters overall was a fun show, and if you went back to some of the early episodes when it was more focused on the family in the title of the show, you might get a little more out of it, where Steve wasn't the main character. I mean, look at this, season 3, episode 1. Carl has to stay on a treadmill that is rigged with a bomb. That sounds great.
You know what? Yeah. Stretch that out over 5 episodes. Feed me that.
Yeah. So, although in season 3, that's when we also get Urkelbot. So, maybe it was already starting to lose it.
A high point of cult. I love when the internet kind of because one thing I've mentioned before, like TV shows used to be disposable, go away, right? And you would have to talk to somebody and go, "Do you remember that?" I felt like there was a very specific point in early Twitter when everyone kind of collectively went, "Do you guys remember Urkelbot?" Like all at once. And everyone's like, "Oh, fuck, Urkelbot."
Yeah.
And I really wish that had turned into more sex Tumblr pictures.
Amazing. But yeah, that's going to do it for this episode of Center of Spookiness. The Halloween season is well underway. We've got some more stuff coming your way this month, and we hope that you will join us for all of that. But until next time, I've been Josh.
I've been Tony.
And we hope that you have a good spooky season. Break out your bucket of brittle, break out your cardo cheese or crackers or whatever the fuck it was that he was eating out of, and just enjoy yourselves this Halloween season.
Whatever month it happens to be. Maybe it's May.
That's right. Maybe it's May. You've been listening to Center of Weirdness. If you like this show, rate and review us wherever you find it, but especially on Apple Podcasts. You can listen to every episode at centerofweird.com, where you can also find all of the old Predictocast episodes. And if you want to get in touch with us to tell us about a show we should cover, hit us up on Twitter at WeirdCenter. As always, thanks for listening.